In the wake of violent confrontations between federal agents and protesters over President Donald Trump's immigration policy, corporate leaders are now starting to do something they've rarely done in the first year of Trump 2.0, disagree with the president.
I think they should change their approach to immigration. I've said it.
JPMorgan CEO Jamie Dimon publicly criticized Trump's immigration policy, making an apparent reference to videos of confrontations between ICE agents and their targets.
Of course, I don't like what I'm seeing, with 5 grown men beating up little women. I'm a fanatic about detail. Show me who's been rounded up. Are they here illegally? Are they criminals? Did they do some law? Did they break American law? But I don't like what I'm seeing.
While Trump had warned he would sue JPMorgan days before Dimon's comments at Davos, the implication was clear. Companies face retribution for perceived slights against the president.
President Trump has filed a lawsuit against JPMorgan Chase and Jamie Dimon personally over allegations of debanking of Trump-related bank accounts during the period of time that the president was out of office. This is a suit for as much as $5 billion filed by the president of the United States and a number of Trump entities. And so this is a flashpoint of tension now between the president of the United States and one of the most powerful bankers on Wall Street.
Immigrant workers made up 19.2% of the U.S. workforce in 2024. That means that about 19 out of every 100 workers in the U.S. labor force are foreign-born. These workers have made important contributions to American companies, which is why Citadel CEO Ken Griffin doesn't appear to support Trump's immigration policies either.
The bigger problem for the United States is we're potentially losing access to the best and brightest minds from around the world who have immigrated to America, who have created just a tremendous number of jobs in the United States on the back of their creativity and ambition.
Jamie Dimon and Ken Griffin are among the only CEOs of major corporations who have publicly expressed doubts about Trump's immigration policy.
They don't want to speak out alone because they are afraid, for good reason. It's not paranoia. They know that they will be shaken down, coerced, intimidated, and retaliatory gestures are quite severe.
But after nurse Alex Preddy was killed by federal agents in Minneapolis, the second death of an American citizen there in recent weeks, more than 60 business leaders from major state-based companies, including Target, United Health Group, and 3M, signed a letter on Jan 25 urging immediate de-escalation of tensions. Notably, the letter avoided any direct criticism of President Trump.
In this warning shot, they don't have to have the strongest possible statement. What they've said already shows the White House, we're talking to each other. You can't take us down individually when we're working as a group. That's why we see Trump retreat.
You tweeted yesterday the word just fear.
Well,
fear, you just wrote fear.
Because I talked to all the CEOs that I mentioned here about something like that they might let slip, a criticism that they might let slip it anywhere could make it so that their shareholders would feel like, why did you send your stock down? It's fear of the president and fear of the shareholders saying, how could you not realize that the president can do whatever he wants?
Sure, asymmetric risk.
Exactly.
For sure.
A comparison between Trump's first and second terms reveals a stark shift in the political climate. During Trump's first term, despite his criticism of corporate support for the Black Lives Matter movement, many companies, including Meta, Walmart, Amazon, Nike, and Target, publicly aligned themselves with racial justice efforts in 2020. In contrast, American CEOs have largely avoided publicly criticizing his policies this time, possibly out of fear of retribution.
Target is a good example of how local companies are responding very differently than they did in the past. Years ago, during Black Lives Matter, when George Floyd was killed, Target was quick to put out a statement and make specific commitments, things like donating to local nonprofits and stepping up its diversity commitments. This time around, Target was much slower to put out a statement. It signed a letter with a group of corporations rather than standing alone. It also sent a video message to employees, but the language it used was much vaguer than in the past.
And we ended up having a conversation on Thursday about the reluctance of corporate America to speak. And interestingly, Jim, you shared some thoughts, and I did as well, because it's not even publicly, it's even privately. There is a fear amongst executives to criticize this administration in any real way.
If, in fact, you speak out against the administration and their efforts, it is possible that there will be retribution. And so you have a lot of CEOs
the worst part of it.
Who do not want to say anything.
That is all the more reason to speak out,
There are really two things that could move the needle with more corporate leaders speaking out, and one of them, unfortunately, could be an escalation in Minneapolis or elsewhere, where there's more tragedy unfolding and a feeling that corporate leaders need to speak out and have their voices heard. The second thing is that they're watching public opinion. They want to be in line with what their customers want, and if more people are shifting towards feeling uncomfortable with ICE's tactics or immigration policy or the administration, it may come to a point where corporate leaders feel like they need to say and do something.
Consumers have a lot of power here. They may not realize it, but they actually have a lot of economic power here. And so if there was a multi-pronged, multi-coordinated effort to pull back on consumption, even just a little bit, en masse, these companies would react to that because that's a specific sort of impact on their bottom line. But right now, I think they're looking and surveying the landscape, and they're saying, hey, you know, we just need to sort of stay out of these crosshairs for now. We have to be careful and wait this storm out and not make critical errors where we might put ourselves in harm's way in the short run.